we used to have a club outing, and that just always be held around May, around that time of the year, May. I think, I'll tell you exactly when it was always be held. It always coincided when the Masters was on. So if we were out somewhere, we'd be looking for the television to look at the Sunday, the final day of the Masters. But we did a lot of our outings to Killarney at the time, because Killarney was very popular, and I suppose at the time you got it as a reasonable thing, and everyone travelled by bus. So you had the 44 or 43 or 40 whatever, but there was always one car load, and that was Vincent O'Connor from Castlemahan, Father Kelly, he was same Mass, so they had to wait, and I'm not sure who there was a third who was travelling with those, but the draw would be made in the bus. The names would be taken, ticked off, and slips of paper into the hat, and the draw would be made, and you can be sure when the first draw there would always be a name missed or something missed, or there was nearly always a second draw, but they were fabulous days. They were fabulous days. We had our golf, and then we had a meal in one of the hotels after. But then, I don't know was it Killarney got too expensive or not, but we finished up going to Duke's, and we've been many a great day in Duke's. Duke's that time had the old clubhouse. It was a tin roof, and there was many a time when fellas hitting off at the first hookah ball, bang, off of the roof, and then we played the second hole. The second hole was a short par 3, reasonably short par 3, but there was gardens on the left, out of bounds. It wasn't, I know it did happen, and I won't mention who did it, but it was in your man's window the ball went. There was a crash, of course, gone straight away, but like Sunday, but I mean they were great days. Then Duke's like that again, they were great days. You had a 4-ball with the draw out of the hat, and you also had a sweep. If you wanted a single sweep, so you had a 4-ball and a singles, so you could put a pound in for the singles. If you want, there was no, for the 4-ball, I think was covered by your the fee for the day, the bus, the meal, the whole lot. And if you wanted to go in for the singles, then you paid an extra pound, which I think nearly everyone did, But we moved on then, and they kind of died out. They died out. I'd say just before we went, roughly before we went to Ireland, and it was a pity. So we moved on in years then, and we got involved in the club. And my brother got involved, and he became captain in, I think it was 80 or something around those years. I got involved in the club, and I used to do a bit of work with Georgie Shire. I could drive a truck, but I couldn't drive a tractor. And Georgie did a lot of work out there, cutting grass and the greens and things like that. And he showed me how to drive the tractor, which was very simple really, but he showed me how to drive and how to put on the triplex on it. So the odd evening, if Georgie was busy, I might do a bit of cutting. Not a lot of it now, but it was the odd evening. And then from that then, we got onto the committee. The vacancies arose in the committee. I think there was 3 vacancies, in case I made them. I think there was 3. Anyway, the 3 people that were elected was Pat the Bash Doherty, Dan Madigan and myself. I think there was another person going for it, but we all the 3 of us got on. And we were very involved in the club then in those years, and that was kind of leading up to the decision to move to Killearn, out to Ireland from Killearn. And another man that did Trojan work in the club, and I'd say, and I always have terrible respect for him, and I always mention it, was Paddy Lyons, that on my sick. The amount of work that he did, and I don't think he really got the recognition he deserved. Because before he went to school in the morning, he was teaching in Abbeyfield, he'd call into the club to give instruction to the grooming, whatever was done. He was the honorary secretary at the time. And he'd come back from home from school and going to Castlemahan where he lived. He'd call in to see things were going. Check the clubhouse. And we became good friends. Paddy and myself became good friends down through the years. I have terrible respect for him. And the amount of work he did in Killearn and when we went to Arda. And before we went to Arda, it was decided to appoint a secretary manager. And Paddy was getting ready to retire, so Paddy was the automatic choice. And I think everyone agreed at the time he was the automatic choice, the amount of work he did. But then the decision was made, and it was the AGM was held, or the EGM was held to decide whether we go to Arda or not. Now a lot of that is recorded in our new book, and it was very well recorded, but anyway it was overwhelmingly decided we'd go to Arda. And a lot of people would say it was not before time, because I remember in the earlier years there was talk about going out to Tossin Rights outside in the Rathgonan Road, which is only a mile out the Rathgonan Road. And the man I remember talking about it was Danny Mulcahy. He was a correspondent with the leader, and of course he was unheard. It was nearly, I won't say he was booed when he suggested it, but it was as near as you could with that. It went unheard of, and then it went dormant for a while. And Mike Dooley, when he was captain in whatever year Mike was, he brought it up that time, and it kind of snowballed from that on then, that we should be going, and eventually the move was made, and it was the best move, I suppose, that was ever made. I mean, when we went out to Rathgonan, a lot of us said we'd never see the best of Rathgonan, but time, we're there now, what are we there, 20 years nearly now? 20 years now, and you can see how much it has developed over the years. I mean, everyone that comes now, a stranger and members alike, are saying how good the course is, how good it is. And now after the last couple of years we've had the programs in Arda, and all the pros that came, they just had the praise for Arda. So it was a great decision, it was a great move, and thank God we'll continue. So we're traversing again now, and we're after moving out to Rathgonan, our new home. I was very involved in those years in the club, and I was handicap secretary with Derek Heaven and Jerry Hussey. Derek was a competition secretary, very efficient and competition secretary, did Trojan work for the club, Derek did, and Jerry Hussey did, but Jerry, we were kind of the Greens committee as well, you know, those who had a Greens committee, and they were in charge of the handicaps. But I was in charge of handicaps for a couple of years before I went out, and then eventually it came as a surprise when I was asked to be vice captain. Mick McQueen asked me to be his vice captain, and it was a great honour, a fabulous honour for the club. And it's an honour for me to be asked to be captain of this great club, which I have terrible admiration for. And Anne Long was the lady vice captain that year. Peggy Geary was the lady president, and Gary McMahon was the men's president. You know, so we had, while Anne Long and myself might have been inexperienced as thing, but we had two very experienced people with Peggy and Gary, Lord Mercy him now, passed away. But we had a great year. Enjoyed my year, enjoyed the club, you know, they were fantastic. The respect they give you as captain, you don't look for it, but it's given to you, and it is a great honour. And anyone that's ever asked to be captain, I said, you're after being, it's a great honour to be asked, But then we were getting older and older, and then Paddy Lyons asked me to be his vice president when he was president. And again, another great honour to be vice president. And that's a kind of, president is completely different from captain. It is a kind of a, I don't know what you call it, is it a bonus point or whatever you call it, but again a great honour, and Helen, my wife Helen, was the lady president at the time, and they served 2 years, but the men only served 1 year. So we had, during my year we had a great year, and we decided to have our prizes the same weekend. We had a joint captain's prizes on the weekend, and lucky enough, we were lucky enough with the weather. We had a bit showery, but lucky enough we got lucky enough with the weather. But that was it in the club, and I was involved in for a couple of years after in the management committee, and I was chairman of the management committee. When I was president, I was asked to chair it, and then after that I was elected onto the management committee, and I was elected chairman, I don't say 2 or 3 years, 2 or 3 years, I'm not sure. But again, you don't realise from the outside, unless you're involved, that all the hard work that has to be done. And like, it always falls down on a couple, I'm not saying fall down on me or as the chairman, but you have the secretaries all the time on the go, the treasurer, because you're trying to get things going, and you're trying to, and your accountant with Peter Burton. Peter was a former captain, and he knew the running of the club, and he's our accountant, and kept very well informed, and you knew what was going on, and everyone knew what was going on. And those meetings when we was having, they was going for hours and hours. I thought they was going too long really, because people were getting bored, but there was so much involved, and the club was only developing and developing and developing, So it is, in those years, I'm going back now to the mid-90s and into 2000, we were only getting better and better and better, and the course was getting better and better and better. And we have what we have today, and it is only from the hard work of those people. Paddy Lyons, Trojan work, Derek Heverton, the amount of work he did. If you want to pay someone for the work that they did, it would cost you a small fortune. So I mean, the gratitude to those people. And then if I go back again, you had like Kevin Kennedy. The Bash did the show work. And Dominic Ahern, another great member. Actually, before we joined the club, we used to have putting above in the hill, we call it, near the masthead. We used to cut holes in the ground, and we'd put chip and everything with one club. And Dominic that time used to go down to Ned Kennedy's, and he'd go to the club with Ned Kennedy of a Sunday afternoon, and Dominic would say, "Would you ever think of taking up the golf? Would you ever think of taking up the golf?" Now, and Dominic, anonymous, and he's dead, and it was Dominic was the first person to mention having a lotto. He said it was very, very popular in Dublin, and his, there was in the soccer clubs of Dublin, but it was very popular. Would you ever think of it? And it was kind of discussed, and it was kind of, we know nothing about it. And fair play to the Bash, Pat Doherty, he said we should start it. And it raised a lot of money when it was needed. It is always needed, money is always needed, but at that time it raised a lot of money. So they were, that was my, if you like, my lifetime with the club, and I enjoyed every minute of it.